All right, sorry. Hi, everybody. How you doing today? Just a last minute calamity. Handled. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody's been having a good day. Hi, Christopher and everyone, says Linda. Hey, Linda, welcome aboard. Okay, let's just get into a bit of housekeeping right off the hop. And yesterday's suggestion was super fun. It was the face game, which is a random statement, came out of Miriam. I enjoyed it. We did a page of it. Um, this is one of those pages where I sort of disclose a little bit about process, and some of my weird whatnots, like watching people in public, or at least studying faces. Anytime I've had like sit at a mall, sit in a waiting room, whatever it is, I tend to pay attention and sort of catalog people's heads, people's expressions, people's faces, and in that way, it's like a bank of faces that we can draw on when we're illustrating stories. We got a bunch of people. I'm missing stuff in here. I'm sorry, gang. What? Jen Wren Scraps. Nice. Hiya. Welcome aboard. That's a good name. Hi, Marguerite. How are you? How's BC going? To dampness and my truck difficulty. Uh-oh. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, yeah, I put Greta Thunberg in there. Perpetually angry, distempered youth. She's symbolic for her generation. Yeah, I don't know. Just another. I just haven't found a picture of this kid yet where she's not mad. But even more interesting than that is next door to her is Irving. Dr. Irving, and I'm a huge fan of Dr. Irving Finkel, which is his name. One, that's a sexy name. Two, he studies a lot of ancient texts, Sumerian, Babylonian, things like that. And Dr. Irving Finkel is the lead archaeologist that was in charge of the project where they actually built an ark. They actually tried to reproduce the building of an ark and the actual processes and that track back to the recorded period of time according to Sumerian and Babylonian texts, that this is what their ark was described as in the Utnapishtim story of the ark, which precedes the Judaic or Christocentric story of the ark with Noah. It's the same story. It's just the Utnapishtim one is a bit older, and the ark is circular. It's really interesting. Anyways, look up Dr. Irving Finkel. He's pretty fantabuloso. But he's also got a great beard and a great look all around. Hey, everybody, it's Jim Lewin. How you doing, sir? Okay, so listen, the last couple of days have been really productive for me. And I drew today's page in about 20, 25 minutes. And when I finally sat down to it, it's just, I literally just scribbled faces. And, there's the first one. There's the second one. It's the thing that you see on the screen. It's just I colored them and put the text on in the computer. But the drawing part just whipped through it. And I don't profess to have any additional proficiency than anyone else when it comes to working on projects and stuff, because I'm slow on some things and faster on others, but as anybody else is. But there's certain things where if you get into a spot, you get into a little zone, and you just tuck in and go. And honestly, that's what sitting down and scribbling these faces really fast was for me. The scribbling on paper and drawing circles and being silly thing that I do. I showed a big example of that yesterday's stream, where I talked about some of my processes for furbishing base surfaces to work on and to do my illustrations. And the second half, I think, or at least the last part of that video, was I cracked open one of my portfolios and went through to pick and show out a bunch of examples of the different executions. And it's a good thing to do stuff like that every now and then. It's a good thing. Hiya, Chris. Welcome aboard. Sorry I missed you. I think I caught everybody now, but thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I think it's a good thing for you to do every now and then, is to scan back and look at process along the way, and to scan back and look at a body of work. Now, some people, that's a harder thing to do because you've got so many little this, little that, little this, little that, in all these different pockets and places. And by little this, little that, I mean like you could have a 12-foot by 16-foot painting. That's a little this, and a little that is scrapbooks. It's all relative. And so with that, it's good for you to assess the stuff that you're working on and the stuff that you've been doing in the last X amount of time. Now, if you could look back so long and go and look for the problems of it and say, this isn't successful and I would change this and I want to redo that and I want to do this, that's counterproductive. But what you can look for is not just recognizing the things that you might not think were successful, but what you can look for is those little tiddly bits, those little things that are. And those bits that you find that are successful, how did I do that? And is there some facet of that I can replicate in what I'm working on now? Maybe this is the thing that I'm missing. And maybe it's the secret sauce for my current project. I used to love drawing in these, and I haven't been drawing in these forever. I got to get those out. Whatever it is, right? Unless it's things like, well, yeah, when I was on an alcoholic bent, man, I was productive. No. You know what I mean? Positive, proactive, positive stuff. There's all kinds of things that we can do in our processes that are good, and all kinds of things we can do in our processes that are bad. It's just a case of, finding what works for us. Let's say hi, everyone. Hi, Chris K. Jen. Oh, and then Jen Wren says, I've been trying to learn to draw fashion girls. That's pretty fun. A couple of ideas, just a couple of ideas. Take a permanent marker of some kind, just a permanent marker. A lot of people use like a black Sharpie, but I suggest even a Posca pen, right? Or a something that you're going to put a mark down, and there it is, or like a colored Sharpie of some kind. And open up the fashion magazine that you're done with. And I want you to try this, and that is try to render the outfit that you see depicted in as few marks as you can. Not just the gesticulative form. It's important that we can study form in these books, but try to render the outfit crinoline in a quick squiggle bit of line. Try to find the weight in the clothing. Try to find the weight in the apparent, like into the outfit in general, as a heavy hat or in very light garment, whatever it is. But try to depict that in as few strokes as you can. And in the course of doing so, it will open up your headspace on drawing fashion people. And then take a simple draw one good human figure. Have a gal with her hand on her hip, looking off to the side. Have a dude with his arms at his side and looking like he's machismo. And photostat those, or put them into a digital program where you have them accessible on repetitive screens, right? Where you can just save a file with just those, open up that file, draw something, and then save it as name something else, so you always have your root file. But doing those things means now you can take what you've learned with your gesticulative marks in the garments, and this goes the same for studying folds and fabrics, by the way. and then start applying them to your models. Start scribbly doodling on your models. Print 4 of them on a page if you have to. 4 scribbly doodles. They're just for you. Yep, I want secret sauce of bow tie noodles, please. Nice. I found a clone of Procreate's High Paint, so I'll paint with that one until I decide to buy Procreate or not. Well, there you go. And Jen says, interesting. Do we even need human artists anymore now that we have AI? Jim runs and hides after pulling pins on that grenade. No. Chris says, a Sharpie felt pen or gel pen doesn't bleed as the regular Sharpies. Well, there you go. You're not necessarily worried about bleed. You're not necessarily worried about it being lovely. You're not looking at something that matters. You're taking this, hold it in such a way as to make your marks from a distance so your hand's not getting in it, and follow the lines. And next page, follow the lines. It's not a case of permanency. It's a case of understanding the organic flow and the movement of form. And so, I mean, you could use a water-based marker. It doesn't matter. But if you want to keep it, Jen says, I do it for therapy, Jim, not to sell. So no, we don't need no AI. I think that there's something to be said for artificial intelligence. I was watching this documentary in the 1980s. It was called War Games, starring Matthew Broderick. Yeah. Jim says, Chris, no. That made me laugh out loud. There you go. There's a software called Nightshade. It protects your art from AI learning. Just don't tell the AI. Don't tell the AI. Yeah. Sure. I was talking to somebody about this in AI, and they think that if I keep variating what I'm doing, I might be somewhat bulletproof. He thinks I'm somewhat bulletproof as a person who AI can study whatever the heck amount of pages that I've done. And because of all the different mediums and all the different approaches and all the different surfaces and all that stuff, he doesn't think that it's replicatable. I don't agree. I think that AI programs can figure out anything. I think that next year I'm going to have my stream narrated by Carrie Fisher and Good Taste or Laurence Olivier, because AI will let that be possible. I mean, we'll start getting into stuff like that. There's already AI programs that generate the voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger to be your map program in your car. Turn around the corner now. There's a software called Day Shadow that protects your art from Nightshade, which is protecting your art from AI. Jim's on fire today. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Nightshade is a plant, isn't it? Isn't Nightshade a plant? Okay. Anyhow, so yesterday I walked through the surfaces, and today I'm going to show something else about mixed media. Oh my gosh. Okay, so today's page is the face game. Just a bunch of faces that I scribbled on a couple of pieces of cardstock, scanned them, threw them in a pile. And let's see if I can show you the pile. Here, this is the pile. This is the pile of pages that I've done this last year. That's a tree. Anyways, I'm not laughing. I cut down a tree for paper, but I know tomatoes, and I think eggplant too are nightshades. Oh, there you go. Is it a type of plant? Well, there we go. Okay, so face game is fun. Digital coloring is fun. Digital patterning is fun. And, this is sort of insight into when I look at people. The anthology series that we published in my comic company, we did 15 volumes of an anthology called The Apartments anthology. And the reason we call it that is when I look at an apartment building, I don't see a whole bunch of residential units that people live in. I see a big stack of stories. And because all of those people in those buildings have individual, unique lives, and each of those apartments has a number of those unique lives colliding in with one another and making even more involved stories. And I love that about apartment buildings because it looks to me like an anthology. When I see people's faces in crowds, I often think about what's that person's story. And, with no malicious intent, I sometimes try to think of what is that person's story and imagine things for, and it just sort of fuels your creative thinking. It sort of fuels your creative writing. So, and then I try to remember relatively what they look like and try to draw some reminiscence of them when it's not going to be upsetting for them to see me doing it. Big YouTuber Jazza just called out a scammer publishing company selling PDF books with art from Loomis and AI-generated art. An interesting video. Oh, isn't that something? Evil potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, migraines for me. Oh, that's not good, Marguerite. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, certain foods upset people. It's all biochemistry, folks. Okay, so there's our today's page. Let's switch to the overhead. Hello. And get going on some fun here today. Now, listen, if you're please keep the chat rolling and engaging with one another. Take it off the suit jacket. But I'm going to try to keep up with it. I'm not the best for it. I'm trying to figure out a thing with some graphics. Somebody showed me a program called Canva. Sounds like Canvas. And to try to get, my marketing, my branding, my self-presentation a little more refined. Trying to polish the monkey, trying to put a smooth veneer on this jagged hunk of coal you see before you. Because on some level, I could use it. Okay, so this is the stack of, I'll just show you again for those that missed it yesterday. So these are, excuse me, papers. These are all of the workable surfaces that I put together yesterday for doing compositions on top of and illustrating one-page stories on top of, and just playing with different shapes and forms and colors. There's jelly plating in here. There's Brayer off in here. There's Snap and Dragon in here. There's just color fields. There's material that's adhered to surfaces in here, right? There's like things like this with this little extra bits of paper and tissue paper in here. So there's all kinds of different ways I approach it, and in order to build up some kind of interesting surface to work on. I was listening to a talk last night where they were talking about they expected there's an understanding that they prefer the sequential media when it's simplified and it's not busy or realistic, or I didn't quite understand it. I have to go back and watch it again. But I tend to come at doing these one-page stories from the from the vantage of the fine art background, and so I'm playing. I'm having fun, and I don't follow any rules. So I'd try anything at this point. So, and we've been having fun with it. So these are all surfaces to work on. But and then we've got some standard different kinds of cardstock and craft paper. Doo-da. All right. So now I've also got. Chris says, "Oh yeah, Canva. My students use it all the time for posters, infographics, etc. AI graphic design. I'm curious about it. Well, it's got formats, some formats in order for me to put together things like some things that like this thing that I put at the start of the stream is the first thing that I've done in Canva. I don't know if you can hear me right now or not, but that's the first thing. So I don't know. Okay, so here's some other surfaces that are going to get incorporated. Now, I've got all these sheets of polyethylene, and this is overhead projector plastic sheets, because for years I've had an overhead projector that I would use. I would do illustrations on here on these plastic sheets, and then I would blow them up for larger paintings and drawings. Well, I got rid of the overhead projector last year because it's big and it takes up a hunk of the storage room. Another piece of cardstock there, a couple there. Some fun paper. I get paper out of packages and I save it. Some more cardstock. This is this tie-dye stuff that I got a little package of from the Wall of Marts. And then there's some comic paper. This is, you can't really see it, but this is divided into quadrants, and each of those quadrants is the breakdown of a comic page for me to use to break down 4 comic pages. I'm going to walk through that. I'm going to walk through that process, by the way, next week. And then here's a bunch of pieces of paper that have 9-panel layouts on them. So Marguerite says, I can't remember if I kept mine. Well, it's a one of those things where when it comes to overhead projectors, they take up the space. The plastic sheets, though. My theory is this. What is it, Chris? Boy, am I glad you asked. If I take acrylic, okay, and I paint on one of these berries, I like the idea of playing with that application. Is it entirely necessary in a world where we can do layers and layers of stuff digitally? Maybe no, maybe so. But what I'm going to utilize this for is animatics. I'm going to draw like so and a few different images and overlap them and have those be able to move in different directions in an image or video, and then I can use that for something, some kind of project thing. I'm just trying to figure out different ways to have some fun, folks. Marguerite says, cool, I found some comic paper at the Vivi. Chris, are you cool with the question of the day? Another one, Jim? Because technically, that would... Yes, go ahead. Jim's questions of the day, folks. Prepare yourself.
If a woodchuck is the same as a groundhog, how much hog did a groundhog hog if a groundhog did hog ground?
Yep. All right, so we've got all this stuff here, and I am ready, steady Freddy, to get crack-a-lackin' on a page for today. And excuse me, I have no preference whatsoever on what to work on, but there's a part of me that wants to utilize maybe one of these suckers. Just because we can, right? It's a cardstock. It's got some ruled lining on it, but in typical Chris fashion, I'm probably not going to use those squares. All right, just because when I do work on surfaces, often the surface in my head doesn't matter. It's just shapes and spaces and stuff that might present us with opportunities or some cool things in the background. So, I'm going to leave it there. Let's see, what else was I going to show you? Oh, yeah. I was doodling a little more in my book, a new sketchbook that I'm trying to do finished images with. And you already saw this one, but I scribbled this gal next. That's my new scribble. That's some masking tape in there. Some masking tape covered in white ink. So we're having fun. Okay, question of the day. Do you prefer to draw small or large? If you had to choose only one, probably large. Probably large, but all things being relative. I have a drawing over here on this wall that is 4 feet by 5 feet. So what is large? When it comes to these pages, I'm good with either one. I don't have any specific preference for that. So that's an interesting question. And I'd like to invite everybody to feel free to respond. Do you prefer to work large or small on whatever it is that you're working on? Chris says, if small is like A4, don't know what that means, and that's fine with me for the rest of my life. Is that regular size 8.5 by 11? Hi, Miriam. Welcome aboard. That's an interesting question anyhow, Jim. Okay, well, so we've got this page of panels here. And so what I'm thinking of doing, and we'll see how this works, but I'm going to tape this down onto this paper, this larger paper, and have to utilize this in this page, in this size. Large is over 4 feet by 6 feet. Well, there you go. The largest drawing that I have done is 8 feet by 16. But there's 2 of them, so technically it's 8 feet by 32. But that's the largest picture I've drawn. I drew it in white pencil on canvas. I could tell you how far white pencils go. And then I added some paint and etc. But it was a mauve colored canvas. Mauve. So, okay, so I've got this crazy kid taped down onto a surface. All right. And I'm just going to throw some more tape down, and then we'll figure out something to do with this down here. All right. Large painting, medium for printing. There you go. Yeah, so it's that's a good question. That's a good question. Do people prefer large or small? Let's just talk about this. Let's talk about, in the context, the different size pages that I do. This is a 11 by 14. I'm sorry, this is 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and this is 11 by 17 cardstock that I've actually stuck it an 8.5 by 11 down on. So if that doesn't tell you the difference between the two, I don't know what does. But I would prefer large. Large gives you more movement in your arm, right? And if you're drawing digitally, you've got this a fluidic control in your line that's kind of a lie, right? Because you're able to get these. Not only is there these programs to course correct your line, but there's also smoothing programs as well to course correct your line. But you can expand out images to whatever size you want, or condense images and have far more information in a condensed image because you keep blowing it up to draw and then squeezing it down. Like that's the thing about digital, is that there's no real sense of actual scale to it. But the idea of going into galleries, the idea of going into a gallery and seeing a painting Rafted Medusa, or the idea of going to the Sistine Chapel and looking up and seeing the sheer scope and scale of the ceiling paintings by Michelangelo, or the Last Judgment on the back wall, right? the scope of drawing for those characters, those figures, is beyond a quick imagining. You know, like you really got to take into account that this wall would be one Civiline figure. It's crazy. That can't be 8.5 by 11. It's a square. It's not a square. It's a condensed image. It's see, much longer. I got it tilted my table a little bit.
That movement is for cowboys, not for painters. LOL.
Those color fields of Mark Rothko. Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's just the idea of scale and scope of things is different. And I am getting back to painting again. And in getting back to painting again, I have not just this little sketchbook I showed you and drawing some faces there, but I'm exploring just drawing a single faces at this size, at 11 by 17, just to just because. So, you know. Okay, so I've got pens. Let's just try on a colored pen today. Why not? Now we got John Wayne. Oh, I do stupid voices all day long. It's but you want to hear good voices. Jim Luhan's in the chat right now. You got to get him to do Bono. He does a good Bono. It's a great impression too. Oh, okay. Here we go. So, all right. I don't have any. I got to get this book. I got to get the suggestions out. What am I doing? What are we doing? We got to get out the book. I was looking at the one that Chris Dubois came up with, the snowball fight at live from Andre Rio's Winter Palace with guest stars Perry Como and Bing Crosby. I actually did that page. Let's see. We got Cartoon Battle of Maple. Oh, Battle of Maple Syrup. Okay, that's Frank Salazar. Good stuff. All right. Well, all right. Sure. Let's do that. Oh, I've got a whole bunch here. I don't know if I've done any of these. Yeah, I want to try this. Getting about. How will I get about? Yeah. I'll show you how I wrote it. I wrote it, how will I getting about? This is how I wrote it. Isn't that great? And that's from Travis. Travis is very funny. Yeah, this is good. My hubby does that too. There you go. Multifaceted. I think you mean multifaceted. What book? Okay, so Jen Rannon, for those that don't know, Miriam asks if I am on a diet. No, I have type 1 diabetes. I'm a type 1 brittle diabetic. And so my I'm down 130 pounds from what I used to be. I used to be built a bit like a linebacker. And now I'm, but I lose weight on a regular basis. Maple is yellow? Not a buffalo urine? What? What did I miss there, Marguerite? What book? So this is the Book of Tricks, or the Book of Ideas. Whenever people give me suggestions, I put them in this book. That's all this book is, aside from some scribbles, is pages and pages of suggestions from folks. And so anybody that feels like they want to make a suggestion of an idea, feel free to do so. I got things in here like If Only I Could from Miriam, or Baker Bakes Demonic Loaf of Bread. It's another one. Paul, what did I say? Oh, no, it's Paul Nopez. Okay. The Day We Met from Miriam. Frankenstein is a Hairdresser from Anne Lar. Mankind, as we are today, did not evolve from apes. Yeah, just all kinds of cats were gifted to mankind by lion people when Egypt was a thing. That's from Chris K. So these are all that's the conspiracy based suggestions that we had in the stream, and then there's stuff like could the owner of license plate XXX please come to the front desk? Senior citizen fight with walkers and wheelchairs. Peanut butter sweet pickle sandwiches is a suggestion. A short autobiographical story of Christopher on a submarine. So I've done all of those, and so today's suggestion that I haven't got checked off is how will I be getting about from Travis. So you could publish a prompt book. Margaret says Skinny Mini. Yeah, I've done the cat in Egypt. Yeah, I've done all the ones that I've just read off. I've done all those ones. Those are all in the pile. This is one of two piles, by the way. This is the 8.5 by 11 pile, and the 11 by 17 pile is half as big, is half as high. And because last year was 358 pages that we did this one. And in total, the last year and a half, I'm over 500 pages now. I gave up on counting. In England, a walker is a Zimmer frame. Nice. Multifacetico. I probably mispronounced that. Polymath. Used to be called polymath. People that would do a bunch of different things in a bunch of different ways. You know, are all around nerd. All right. You gotta bear with me, folks. I've been watching George C. Scott all morning. Okay, so let's get my chair raised up here, and let's get to crack a lacking, shall we? How will I be getting about? Is Travis's suggestion. So the image that I've got down here, it doesn't matter. And if anybody's okay, so drawing the squares, we'll draw on the squares. But I think that what I'll do is that I'm going to draw a bunch of cascading people together. How will I be getting about? And let's have just an explosion of movement. Let's just have a whole bunch of different forms on top of each other. Does that sound like some fun in the sun? And I'll just use a pen to start with, and then we'll start adding in some mark making tools. I got these Arteza pens. These are fun, huh? So let's try to use those as our color base. So with that in mind, all this earth tone business, I'm gonna switch to green. Just because there's a green in that earth tone box. And yeah, it works. Wasn't he in war movies? Probably. I vote Zimmer frame of the future. Okay, let me start writing things down. Just give me a second. Where's the book? I keep putting the book on the table behind me, and that table behind me is 4.5 feet away. Okay, so we got flying a plane is what Jen Wren scraps. That's a good one. We'll put that down. And then we got I vote Zimmer frame of the future. Zimmer frame of the future. We're already developing those now. They're called exoskeletons, and they're able to attach those to people's nervous synapses in a way that allows them to flex muscles that are atrophied in their actual form. And that's Marguerite. Marguerite, I check the spelling of your name every time I'm about to type it, so I don't type it EU. Because I know it's UE, but I still check it every time. Whirling Dervishes. Yes, that's great. I love that. We'll put Whirling Dervishes. I'll incorporate that into the page, Marguerite. Thank you. Jaws in reverse. I'll write it down. Jaws in reverse. So people are always welcome to put these in the comments for videos. You're more than welcome to put it in the comments for any of the posts of any of the pages that I do. You can put whatever random suggestion for a new one-page idea in any of those social media posts, and I will write them in the book. So always feel free. If you think of one, just look up my Instagram, my Facebook if you're on there, and just write it in comments of whatever the new page is, or whatever page it opens up, whatever one-page story image opens up, and just write it in those comments. I'll get it. Jaws in reverse. The beachgoers are sharks. And the shark is human. That's a fun one. I like drawing sharks too. My handwriting is getting sufficiently worse, folks. Marguerite says that is so amazing. Yep. I have to save the funny spellings in my Starbucks cups. That's so great. Waiting for my sailor husband. All right, I'll put that down, Miriam. There's a good story about that here in Canadian literature. There's a story about a woman in Nova Scotia who's waiting for her sailor husband to come home. And it's quite lovely. It's quite lovely. There we go. Okay, so I'll keep the book kicking around as always, folks. And if people come up with others, you're more than welcome to shout them out. So, but like I say, feel free to put them in the comments of any of the videos that I post. If you're checking out old videos or whatever else, and you go, "Oh, I got a suggestion," put it in the comments of that video. I'll get it. I will get it. And any of the social media postings. So how will I be getting about is today's suggestion, which is Fun in the Sun. I got different greens I can use, all these different colored pens that I have. What are you like? Oh, you're a clunky pen. Get out of here. I know, it might hurt its feelings. That's okay. I'll be fine. Oh, this is too light for you to see. Let's get dark green. We're going. Okay, well, I'm just going to start drawing people flying through the air. How's that sound? My grandson's rugby team is the Bayside Sharks. Nice. That's really cool. That's a good. I was really excited when there was a hockey team that they started a couple of years ago called the Seattle Kraken. Just because I really like the idea of them introducing all the players every game by shouting, "Here comes the Kraken!" It's so good. Anyways, I don't know anything about the team. I've never actually watched them in the game. Hunting for geodes. Is that another suggestion, Jen? Okay, I'll write this down and then get drawn. Hunting for geodes. A friend of mine he has a geode museum here in London and his jewelry business. It's really cool, but that's what he does. He likes to hunt for. He takes his holidays and goes hunting for geodes. I used to coach the Dynamites in baseball when my oldest was a teenager still. Now she's 32. Okay. All right. So, all right. How will I be getting about? Well, there's a couple ways we can do this, I guess. We could do a panel where somebody says, everybody's trying new modes of transport, or something like that. Or we can just get into right off the hop drawing people flying whiz bang through the air. I think that there's some fun in that. And it's an idea that I've wanted to try, but I never really got down to. Is this other paper I can use? No. All right. Well, I was going to use this guy's face as a news reporter. And I just, no. Let's just get going. Okay. So let's start off with, we'll have somebody flying through the air right off the hop. And so we're just going to tap into our headspace here and think about somebody in their t-shirt. I guess, yeah, let's turn that t-shirt up and so that we're starting to show a little bit of tummy, because that's what shirts will do. They'll flare up, right? The Kraken! Yeah, it's so great. Release the Kraken! Oh, who plays the hockey? Yeah, I'll get my big silly face off here. Nobody wants to watch that. So the question of the day that Jim asked is, do you prefer to work large or small? So feel free, if you are so inspired, to answer that. If there's something, if you've got some sort of stance on that, if there's, well, I prefer to work big. Big's for suckers. I like working small. So anybody that hasn't had a chance to consider that, please feel free for the ability to do so. So I'm starting to put our first guy in. And I think I'm going to have some movement in the hair. Let's get the idea of him moving through the wind. And we'll build this up in a second. I want to see how these new markers, the marker pack that I picked up works. I'm back. Cthulhu, Kraken, or the Flying Spaghetti Monster? There you go. Lurking story. My inner critic wants attention. Hey, no, I appreciate anybody coming to hang out on any level. That's very nice. Yes. All right, so we've got our first guy, and we'll draw his second shoulder, pulled back, flare up that, and then we'll get that arm in. I've got a shadow on the arm, and a shadow on the underside of the arm. So despite the panels that are on the page, I'm going to draw our characters just sort of freeform over top of it. And so what that'll give me is a chance to, I can do things like coming in with, a post cut and pulling some of the lines out, right? So he sits on top of the boxes. Ravioli can spaceship. Are these suggestions? If there's suggestions, if people could put suggestion before that, because there's a lot of fun stuff being said, and I forget half of what comes out of my yapper pretty much immediately after I say it. So if it's responses to anything I say, I won't pick up on it half the time, because big old blonde ding dong. So I'm drawing in our first guy. The shirt flying up behind him. And yeah, just right off the hop, we'll start having some fun with different people getting around. You know, how will I be getting around? Or how will I be getting about is the suggestion. Or how will I getting about is how I wrote it down. Ridiculous. It's Nicolas Cage flying. There's a crazy actor. He's always been a crazy actor. But I still absolutely love him in Raising Arizona. And an absolute turn of face performance wise is absolutely brilliant in 8mm as well. That is easily a dramatic role that he does in that film that nothing else will ever touch. I respect his extreme amount of work, but by goodness, that's a good film. So I'm just trying to think about this cat dropping from a height, and you know, just scribbling and having fun, right? Let's get his shoe in there, just roughed in. Somebody says, I like him a lot. I like Face Off. Oh, there you go. Bill Kinsella loved Raising Arizona. I'm not familiar with who Bill Kinsella is. If it's someone's... Is that a movie critic? So I tend not to watch or listen to movie critics. Actually, there's one British comedian who's blind, who's given his opinion on films, and it's so funny. Well, from what I could see of this film, which is nothing because he's blind. Okay, so here's our first guy flying, dropping through the air. I'm not going to finish this foot because I might want to put somebody else in front of him. But let's I don't know. Let's push this even farther. Let's try to take like let's put somebody else who's, and we'll do the same thing with their shirt rising up. We'll draw another guy. We'll foreshorten that arm. We'll put a second arm up and behind him. So this hand goes behind here. This drawing this pen in or this page in a really sort of rough and loose way is kind of fun because once I start applying the markers down and the colors, it's going to be good fun. Draw thee. The. So here's our second person. And yeah, let's do some more, but let's have some real fun with this. Let's put some people silhouette, just so we can get a sense of scale, people moving in. you know, drawing them flying over a bus of people. Okay, bus of people. There you go. That sounds like fun. I'll do that. And let's get another guy here. Let's get his arm in the foreground here. And I'll start making some more mess in a second with the markers. But I'm not... yeah, I'll start playing with this a little bit. I got this large. Miriam says large. Large. So this week's been a bit of an interesting week for approaches to pages. It's been a little all over the place this week. Pencil crayon page. We did painted a page in acrylic. I did ballpoint pen page. Yesterday I drew in a fountain pen. I gotta learn to start sticking on one medium. What are the colors that I got here? Ooh, I got some colors. I got some colors. Hello. I forgot to tell people, some people like to hear it. Today's music that I'm listening to is Kasabian. That's a British group. Someone needs a briefcase. Okay, we'll put that in. Did you say new markers? Yeah, it's these. Arteza. I just grabbed a thing of those at a dollar store yesterday. One medium is boring. Yeah, I can't stick to one thing. But the reason that I switch mediums constantly and the pages is that I want to, and I'm gonna forget how to do some of them if I don't keep them in the old turnaround. What's your name? What color do you? Oh, you'll do. So we're getting something now. We're getting something pulling together. It's see if I pull this camera down a little bit and see a little more clearly. Get some more of those colors in here. Let me see. I'll switch. Always trying different lighting setups. Just does that work? Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. So I didn't clear off the lines really before I started coloring, which is good and bad, you know. But we can come in now and drop some of that back. I like some of it peeking through just because I think it's fun. But it can confuse people too, right? Now he's looking Abraham Lincolnish. That's him falling from the sky. 407 years ago. There's a big old speech that I gave that the Canadians don't know because they live in a different country. They're all right. They're typical markers. There's a couple of real solid browns here and here too. I'll try. Real emphasis points there. Canadian author, first person to take advantage of Bill C-10. W.P. Kinsella. What is Bill C-10? Is this, the relaxing of our Canadian marijuana laws? Man, I wrote this on C-10, man. All right. These new pens have got two sides to them. I just noticed that. Now I'm listening to the Arctic Monkeys. Assisted suicide. Wow. Okay. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Just using some of these different colors. Oh, they blocked my comment. How come only men get to fly? So far. It's because women have more sense generally than men about jumping out of planes. There's a comedian that has this whole bit about why is it only, we only really ever hear about men skydivers falling out of planes to their doom. She does this whole bit. It's right, and of course, I realize that there are plenty of women aerodivers, but it's a funny bit. I wish I could remember her name. Okay, well let's remedy this concern. Let's put down. Where's that pen? Is it in my hand? Don't ever put the pen down. Oh, did I do the same thing? I tuck things behind my ear and lose them. Do you know what I mean? Lose them. No, that's a comment to C10. Right, well, there's another pen. Start changing the patterns that people are falling in. Give him some cooler fashion, maybe. It can use some cooler fashion, I think. It's just shapes. Just shapes. There we go. Put more female characters in for you. First person to use a ripcord was a woman. There you go. I hope her name was Rip. That's why we call her Ripcord. She's the first person to have the sensibility to use one. So they named it after her. I'd like a story like that, please. Can I have a story like that, please? So we got to put a flying school bus in here. What was that show? Magic School Bus? What was her name? Mrs. Krabappel or something? Or is that Simpsons? Have you ever put a picture as part of your page? How do you mean? Like an actual something like a collage? Is that what you're referring to? Like a collage image? I tend to just draw everything. I mean, I've got nothing. Clearly, I'm a big fan of collage, but in the time it takes me to look up the thing that I want, I'll just draw it. You know, which might sound a little silly, but so I'm trying to think about the shape of the front of a bus. I think this might be it. It's probably way too, yeah, it's way too front of the wheelbase. Make it a flat face bus. Fixed it. Okay, moving my truck again. There we go. I'm doing a new page, and I will use that, my picture, so it's easy to take it. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I've got no judgment on whether or not people do it. I really don't. I'm so impatient with the whole sourcing of an image that I'll just tend to draw it. I'm a bit of a fussy monkey. There's our dropping school bus, or a flying school bus. Wish I knew where I dropped that pen. Hey, I found him. Oh, look at me on the pen. There's our bus. Doesn't mean in the bus line. I like watching you make it. Oh. Well, it's flying now. More like a dropping. It's more dropping. All right, let's get some. Let's get some crazy people flying through space here. just to keep it interesting, right? Yes, we got to put a guy with a suitcase or a briefcase, right? This guy's losing a shoe. Chris says there's a cat bus in the Totoro movie by Ghibli. It's the cutest thing. Yeah, that has a deeper meaning than just in the West. We think of it as a cat bus, but in Japanese, I think it is. It actually symbolizes something else. It's similar to how Europeans look at Sharon, the boatman, to the afterlife in Greek tradition. Where are we at? Well, lots of people falling out of the sky now. The portal opened up and dropped them, or what? Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Let's figure out why they're falling out of the sky. Well, there's something silly we can start with. Is in our narrative we can have somebody regaling a story here of all these people falling out of the sky in this bus crash, right? And what do you mean, like the bus crashed and they went flying over the side of a hill or something? And the person can say, no, the people falling out of the sky. Yeah, but from where, right? We get to have that conversation. The sky. I know they're falling from the sky, right? Just a couple more in here. Let's put a couple more here. What did I draw with this one? Okay. So okay, so here's our people falling out of the sky. put some clouds up in behind them, so we know they fell out of the sky. So I tend to find for myself that sometimes finding the story is just about getting started and starting to draw something. And in the course of drawing something, you'll start to hear the dialogue that sort of you're defining your characters by, and through that interaction. So Marguerite singing Raindrops. David Mamet, I've referenced him before. David Mamet, in his writing, he talks about how there's no point in writing backstories and all kinds of complicated trying to define a character process, because the character should come through in the dialogue. That's how the reader's going to connect with your characters on any level. So trying to do anything further than that and try to define these big backstories and these elaborate things are going to resonate less with a viewer than just, how you doing, Bill? I haven't seen you since those days we spent in the asylum. Immediately steps you into the character themselves. These guys have been in an asylum, or these guys are, they've got a complicated background of possible, mental situations. So situations you duress for these guys. It's just the smallest thing in that dialogue tells us a lot more interesting stuff about our characters than maybe we would have put across with some so-and-so was born in this place and they particular fondness for milk, like whatever it is that we're trying to define. A simple sentence and an engagement between characters tells us more about those two characters in relationship to one another, and defines a little bit more about the situation overall. So having two people dialogue about these people fell out of the sky in this bus, right? What do you mean in this bus? In the bus, like if they all fell out of the sky, were they in the bus? Just that dialogue starts to develop some sort of narrative structure that can interrelate to this ridiculous image of people in bus falling through from sky. It's a different way of coming at the story than, there's a great benefit for people that sit down and write out their scripts and build up and develop this whole narrative, but there's something to be said for the ebb and flow in process. At least I find that works for me. May not work for other people in the same regard, because some people need a little more structure up front before they get started. But I tend to be one of those fly by the seat of my pants guys. So I didn't draw anybody with their suitcase or briefcase. Why don't we just have this? So if this is the extent of the image, and we'll open the briefcase. So we'll have the paper flying out. I would imagine that mental health is so taxing on a person that it would feel freeing to fall from the sky, like leaving the worries behind. Maybe. So here's our briefcase. That somebody has dropped. And his papers are flying willy-nilly through the sky. Can you see? Are you picking up on that? Woohoo! All right. Even just normal stresses too. Well, a lot of people have dreams of falling, right? When they're under duress. That's a common thing. So I'm going to come in a second. And pull out some of the lines around these people to separate them from the clouds behind them. Where are we at? An hour 20. Where is the, there it is. All right. Just putting in some shape on some of these smaller figures. Just trying to more readily define the form on people here. Finish my page. Let's concentrate on the flying people now. Love the papers going out of the panel. Thanks, Miriam. Nice colors. Well, thank you, Chris. Okay. So, since this is as artificial and silly as it is, let's define some of the shapes of the clouds. This is the most brown of browns, the brownie brown one. So just really putting these figures in as almost just silhouettes, right? Just shape language as opposed to an actual person. Got the briefcase going there. This guy's shoes come off. Is it more and more legible? I need to go. Number 37 right, task to read. Oh my goodness, I need to go and get some cake to endure this task. Cake's important, Chris. Make sure you get some cake. Bye, Chris. Thanks for coming and hanging out. All right, we're getting there. Gotta use some of that brown in there. So there's a red, of course, in the brown. So it works fairly well with the green. Sorry, thinking and talking. Tricky. I'm missing stuff. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm missing. Oh, no, we're still okay. All right, so it's a weird palette to work with for sure, but sticking to this green pen and this Arteza earth tone color palette. Sometimes limitations give us unexpected education, right? So I'm gonna. So does this give me a light yellow? Yes, I guess it's the lightest yellow I get. All right, gives a little more structure to it. Naples yellow, is that what that is? Okay. This is called A108. But yeah, if you recognize the yellow, that's great. So hopefully these little separations with the white and the little dotting in the clouds is going to give them a little more interesting shape language there. All right, that's coming together. I'll hold it up in the camera in just a sec here. Just give me 1 sec. I'm almost there. Let's see what we got. So here's our folks. Woo! And there's our bus going down as well. I got a shoe in there. I got a briefcase in there. You know what I could put is a little. Somebody's dropped their teddy bear. These teddy bears are always funny. I'm a horrible monster. Okay, so we've got the bus, all the folks here falling down from the sky. Let's finish this off here. Yeah, all right, there's our guy in the foreground. And so one of the things I'm trying to keep in mind when I'm doing a panel like this is that I want to make sure if I have the dialogue happening in this image here, in the first image, then I want to make sure that there's space here for the if I got a person talking here and he's narrating this ridiculousness, then we need to make sure that we leave space for the text, right? You know, there's an expectation that you're going to cover some of the image up, but if you could control that to some extent, like to just some extent, you know, it should just improve overall the dynamic of the movement in the page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start to structure in a portrait here of our narrator. And then I'm going to have to pull this in a little bit more in a second. Just bear with me. It's just, you put that first value down, especially when I've got pre-existing lines on the page. It can be a little, it's not going to make some sense to some extent until more of it's down. But here's our guy who's going to be regaling the tale. And so this will be one panel, this will be the next panel. Like this. So all right, let's start defining his features a little more. Take out some of this white line. Or black line, I'm so sorry. And now I'm just going to build up some of the structure in his face. suppose I could use a pen. You're so good with coming up with personalities on the fly. Well, you're trying to emote, right? We're definitely trying to emote here. And in trying to do so, you've got to, explore how a person would be feeling. We got to try to get that across as simply as we can. Just practice. Carnegie Hall. There we go. I'll hold that up. See if that's making some sense. Oh, he's looking back with horror. I did not realize that I had flush tone markers sitting right here on the table out of this box. Or I would have started with this instead of the yellow. It's all right. It's kind of crazy and haphazard, but it's working. Lighter. Yeah, you're lighter. It's fun. Okay, where are we at? A few more minutes, I'll just get this. Person regaling our tale here. It's a pretty limiting palette to have to work with. I like the challenge of it. Oh, we got something started here, folks. Have I used you yet? What color are you? Oh, hello. I know the color of this fella's t-shirt. Pure chaos. You give this guy some light eyebrows. I like a limitation to the palette to the mark making tools that we're using, because it forces you to have to think
a little bit more about marks and how you're going to define features in a person's face and the like. The one sketch that I was doodling yesterday, and I played with a little bit more. I had to take my van in this morning to get fixed up. This limitation is this one here is two pens. It's these 2 pens is what I'm able to draw with for this one. And so that limitation is where all these, there's some fun deep reds and browns that are coming out of that. And I like that. I like that a lot. You know, it sort of pushes you a little farther to have to do something. This is very yellow. This is a very, very rooted in a yellow earth tone. But we'll get it done. You know, I can also switch the whole value system too and turn it to like into the blues or something like that. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing with it. But there's a couple different things that I can do with it digitally. I got to put this guy's other foot in now. All right. I think I've been having some fun doing this today. I hope people are enjoying it. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world to watch a guy drop a bus out of the sky. Anyways, where I think I'm going to go with the narrative is he's regaling the story about the people and the bus, and everyone's falling out of the sky, and then the other person gets to say, "What are you talking about? Bus falling out of the sky? Like, were they in the bus? No. I mean, no. They're all falling out of the bus. No, they're not out of the bus. They're just falling, and there's a bus falling, you know, and we get to have that little moment of somebody trying to account something absurd to another person and the incredulity that person feels from it. So for whatever reason, that's the story idea I've come up with for today. Anyhow, I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much, everybody. I got to go get a couple things done, go check my blood sugar. Yeah, this has been good fun. Monday morning, I was going to have a guest on today, but that didn't work out. And Lori had another appointment, or she would have joined me. Lori will be coming on to join us on the stream here soon. So keep your eye out for the much better looking person in our household to be coming and chatting about some stuff and some books. That'll be it for me for now. I got a couple things I'll be doing this weekend. For those of you that are on my Patreon, I've got some pages that I'll be sharing with you as well. But in the meantime, I'll be back Monday, 2 p.m. EST. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you for everybody that came out.